Zoning Commission. Showing 6:01, I'd like to call the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. And Brandy or Rachel, can you denote roll call and Pledge of Allegiance? Justin, could I have you lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I should have noted is the start of the meeting. We have Lisa joining us virtually, so we do have a full quorum tonight, or a full board mission. Item number 3 is approval of the minutes. First one is the January 23rd minutes. And I guess I'm sorry, I'm hesitating because it looks like we'll have to take every minute individually because they're not listed as a consent. It's my understanding, but I don't know. So any comments or motion for the January 23rd minutes?
I'll motion to approve.
Motion by Shannon. Is there a second? Seconded by Mike. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I will abstain since I was not on the commission at the time.
Okay. Any opposed? Passes 6-0-1. The minutes, February 27th, 2024, same thing. Any motion or discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So motion by Doug, seconded by Shannon. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Again, I will
opposed?
abstain.
Passes 6-0-1. Next minutes, March 26, 2024. Motion or discussion?
Motion for approval.
Motion by Mike for approval as written. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Again, Doug seconded. So any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Any opposed? We pass again 6-0-1. And the last one, April 8th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Colleen. Is there a second? Second by Justin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you for that. And I like the mix of motioners. So appearances before the commission, number 4. I have one person wishing to appear, but they are noted as appearing under 5.5. So is there anybody in the audience or anybody online wishing to appear under item 4? If you're online, please raise your hand. They'll have to unmute you. Do not see anybody. So I will move on to item 5.1. We will be opening a public hearing on a special exception application to enable an on-building sign in excess of the number of signs per business normally allowed for land in the M2 General Industrial District within 1,300 feet of Highway 51 and located at 749 Little Potato Way, parcel denoted on the agenda. And I will open the public hearing at 6:06. Is there any staff wishing to discuss? Okay, Randy?
Yep, I can go ahead and just give an overview during the public hearing and then we can have more discussion after the public hearing. So we have a application for a request for a special exception for signs for the industrial building that's located at 749 Little Potato Way. You'll remember that this was a site that was just recently developed by the Dickmans for multi-tenant industrial use. The special exception request is for more on-building signs than are permitted by our village ordinance. Village ordinance only allows 2 on-building signs per business in the industrial district. And so the special exception request is for a total of 4 on-building signs. As you can see on the screen that Mark has up, the areas that are earmarked with the red letters and whiting are the locations of the proposed signs. Part of the reason for this is that Big Joe's forklift company is housed under EP Equipment parent company. So there are agreements in place for advertising and co-advertising and things of that sort. So as you can see on the screen, it does show on the eastern side of the building. So this would be the side that faces Highway 51. There is the proposal for 2 on-building signs, one specifically for Big Joe's forklifts and the other one for the EP equipment. And then on the other elevations, we have, thank you, Mark. This would be the north elevation. So this would be the elevation that faces Little Potato Company, which is just directly to the north of this site. It would be a combo sign of both the EP equipment and the Big Joe's logos on that. And then on the western elevation, which would be the elevation that faces Little Potato Way, there is also an additional combo sign for the EP and Big Joe's on that. So that's the proposal. We do have other businesses in the area that have come before the Planning and Zoning Commission. And actually previously before Planning and Zoning, it was through the Board of Zoning Appeals that they would go to that did get approval for additional signs on their buildings. One of those was American Packaging Company. They currently have 4 on-building signs at their location as well. And Little Potato Company has 3 on-building signs at their location, which are 2 businesses that are immediately abutting this property. So with that, I'll leave it at that for now. We detailed out some stuff and some conditions through the staff report and the resolution. But what we're looking for tonight from the Planning and Zoning Commission is a recommendation for additional on-building signs in excess of what the ordinance does allow. One other thing that I did want to mention is because they have the 4 on-building signs that they're requesting, I did mention in my staff report that, you know, I thought maybe one of the signs that's on the north side of the building that faces Little Potato may be in excess, you know, as far as advertising goes, but that's certainly a decision that the commission can make. But we did add a condition into the resolution that they would be restricted from not being able to advertise on freestanding or ground mounted signs on the site because they have an excessive amount of signage on the building itself.
Okay. And seeing nobody else that's wishing to speak right now, I will float, what is it?
We do.
Mine, I don't
Okay,
know.
I believe that Luke Severson from Sign Art Studios is online. He's available to answer questions during the discussion portion of that if we wanted to.
okay.
And maybe Brendan might be with this as well.
I guess what I'm thinking is we'll probably close the public hearing and then move on to discussion and we can ask questions there.
That'd be great.
So I will close the public hearing at 6:11 and move on to item 5.2, discussion and action on a special exception application to enable on-building signs in excess of the number of signs per business normally allowed for land in the M2 General Industrial District within 1,300 feet of Highway 51 and located at 749 Little Potato Way parcel on the agenda. Guess I will open that up for any discussion, commissioners. Colleen?
I'm just curious, Brandy, when you say the sign's a little excessive. Explain that to me.
I just think that you know, when you're looking at the building, that north facing side, I just wonder if it's really necessary, you know, to put a sign on that side of the wall because it's facing the Little Potato Company way. But I haven't driven down Highway 51 from the north to see that viewpoint either. But like I said, we could go either way, you know, the 4 is okay. But it would restrict from more advertising on the site in the future.
Thank you.
And Brandy, you said that the resolution as written would allow for that sign.
Yes,
So if the commission did not want to see that additional exception granted, they would have to modify the resolution.
correct.
Colleen, are
I
you-
believe Lisa has her hand raised,
are you
Jim.
good? Yep, Lisa?
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, I would like to just make a recommendation that honoring the staff proposal with limitations on the north side of the building. I did drive through there. And I am in agreement with staff recommendations. I would like to honor that due diligence and research and recommendation put into the report, but then further make sure that there are limitations on those ground mounted signage limitations as well.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Were you making a motion or were you just stating your opinion at this time?
Yeah, I'm just stating an opinion. I'm sure others have their own opinions. I think if we're already agreeing to excessive signage, there's no need to go over the top and, you know, kind of present this image of, you know, too much signage. I mean, I think we still want to keep it reasonable. So it's just an opinion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Any other commissioners? Discussion or motion? Colleen? Oh, there. Sure. Mhm. Why don't you come forward and state your name for the record?
Got it. So it turns green there.
Sam Dickman, one of the owners of the property. I guess the question is, if we're talking about no ground mounted signs, is that just for Big Joe or is that no further ground mounted signs?
No, that would be just for Big Joe and it would just be on the Highway 51
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
side of it. Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess, could I ask a question of you? Are you acceptable of these conditions or
Yes, the
have you-
reason we
have
were
you talked
asking the
about it
question-
internally?
The reason we were asking the question is the plan in later on tonight, we're working on the building on Stevenson and Yahara. And one of the plans is to put a ground mounted sign to the south of this building. And we didn't want to preclude that if we're getting these signs for Big Joe tonight. So.
Thank you. And can I ask a clarifying question, Brandy? When you say no ground mounted signs and you're saying Big Joe, my understanding is that Big Joe is only renting 75% of the building. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are
Mhm.
we recruiting ground mounted signs for the other 25%?
No, we're just, no, so each site is permitted, you know, there's certain allotment of freestanding signs. So that would not be restricted on the number of freestanding signs that they could have. But what we're recommending is that Big Joe's, because they have the 4 large signs on the buildings, that they don't have additional signage advertising on Highway 51 as well in addition, because it just seems a little excessive for, one particular business.
Other business and the 25% could put a
Yes.
sign.
Yes, they
in
could.
This resolution.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that
Yep.
clarification. Thank
very
you.
much.
Any further discussion or comments, recommendations? Mike?
I do have one other question, Brandy. So for the 25%, as I read through the information, they would be, it'd continue to be limited in terms of the overall sign area. Is that how I understand?
Yeah, that's correct. So the building itself allots so much sign area. And it's really up to the property owner of how they distribute that sign area between the businesses, the tenants that they have in their buildings. So the remaining sign allotment would be for the other tenant that is in there if they wanted to do ground mounted signs, as long as they standard the total, that's allotted for the entire building.
A quick follow-up then, as far as freestanding signs for the 25%, does that come back to any committee or to you?
So the freestanding sign right now, I believe they have one on-site freestanding sign and abutting Highway 51. They're allowed one additional freestanding sign, which would be approved at staff level, unless for some reason they wanted a taller sign or a bigger, larger sign area than our ordinance allows, then they would have to seek a special exception for something like that. But if they were to put up a freestanding sign that was within our bulk standards of the ordinance, then it would just be a staff level approval.
Okay, thank you, Brandy.
Okay, thank you, Mike. In any discussion or a motion? Colleen?
I will make a motion to approve the special application, the special exception application to enable the on-building sign in excess of the number of signs for 749 Little Potato Way.
And Colleen, if I can clarify your motion, is that you're recommending the Planning and Zoning Commission Resolution 2024-906 that Randy has on screen?
I'm sorry, I was only looking at the agenda. Yes, I didn't even see the ordinance number. Resolution number 2024-906, recommending approval.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there a second?
I will second.
Seconded by Shannon. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 6-1. Thank you. Item 5.3, public hearing on a conditional use to allow screened outdoor storage area in association with the proposed principal use of the property located at 650 through 696 North Stevenson Street. Parcel on the agenda in the Village of DeForest, Wisconsin. And this is a public hearing, and I'm starting the public hearing at 6:20. Is there any staff to kick this off?
Yep, I can kick this. See, usually it's the Mark show. So
Sounds good. I like controlling the.
this is kind of exciting.
Worry, I'll have my turn.
I know, yeah. All right, so what we're looking at here is we have an application for a conditional use permit for screened outdoor storage area in association with a principal multi-tenant industrial use. The Dickmans, who are both here this evening and are available to answer questions as well, are proposing 182,000 square foot multi-tenant building on the corner of Stevenson Street and Yahara Street. Mark's got the cursor there on the site. So we just north of the Village's dog park, and then Holcim, which was formerly Firestone. I think that's how you say it. I probably slaughtered it. So it would be located right there on the corner. So what we're looking at is, again, the this is not for a site plan review or approval. Right now, we're just looking, village ordinance requires that any outdoor storage is permitted only by conditional use permit. So prior to us moving into the site plan review and getting any deeper, this would be the first stage to approve if you guys so choose to allow for outdoor storage component on this site. All of the land that is surrounding this site within the village is within the M2 industrial zoning district. The land to the north of Yahara Road is the village of Windsor. There is residential property located there right on the corner. And then some farmland and more residential up the way. The architectural site plan, which Mark has up on the screen, they don't have their tenants completely locked down, or at least it wasn't when I wrote the staff report. But based on the architectural, it looks like they have two potential tenants that are going to lease all of the space in the building. So the outdoor storage area would be the area on the screen that's kind of like triangular, I guess you would describe it. It would be screened in. Their letter of intent did mention chain link fence, but village ordinance does require that outdoor storage areas be screened in with opaque fencing, with landscaping on the outside of that fencing as well. So that was mentioned as part of the review through the staff report, and will be a requirement as part of the site plan to have that screening there. There is also a component on the site for 29 semi-trailer parking stalls just to the south of the triangular area on the screen, where they will have semi-trucks coming in and out in service of both of those businesses. I did confirm with their development team that that's not intended for long-term storage. The semi-truck parking stalls are for the daily use of the business. So coming in and out of the site, queuing up, things like that. But there will not be any long-term storage for that. There is no fencing that is proposed around the trailer parking component of that. P and Z, as part of your decision tonight, can waive the fencing requirement around the outdoor parking area. If you find that it's not necessary to meet the zoning codes, which is what I'm recommending this evening, that parking area, like I said, is not long-term storage. It's kind of, set back in the site, so it's not really visible from public view or anything of that sort. And like I said, the intent is for the semi trucks to queue and come and go on a short-term basis, not long-term basis there. I think that's about all that I'll go over as part of the public hearing portion of it. And I'd be happy to talk more about if you have any questions after the public hearing.
Thank you, thank you, Brandy. I guess I will ask if anybody wishes to speak at this point. And I will close the public hearing at 6:25 and go to item 5.4, just discussion and action on the conditional use permit to allow screened outdoor storage area in association with the proposed principal use of the property located at 650 through 699 North Stevenson Street, parcel on the agenda in the village of DeForest, Wisconsin. So I open it up to Brandy to start it off.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention one thing that I think is important, because Sam actually did bring it up when he came up for the other item. But this conditional use permit, the letter of intent had mentioned the offsite signage as part of, the different uses for the conditional uses. That is not being considered this evening. We had some discussion with Caitlin from Brian and going back and forth regarding the size of the sign and whether it would be feasible for, they were only allotted 100 square feet. And whether that's a feasible size for signage on Highway 51 with visibility and things like that. So that is not something that's being considered tonight. If we wanted to look at that further and see if there might be something we could do, that would be at a later date. Thank you for letting me clarify that.
Thank you. Commissioners, any discussion, comments?
Lisa has.
Lisa?
Were the residential homeowners in the area, were they consulted about this particular proposal? Other than the three methods of alerting the public that this was on the agenda?
We did not send public notices to residents because they were a lot further away, except for, I'm sorry, I need to withdraw that. We sent one to the residential properties that are there on the corner on Yahara Road.
Was there any feedback received from those homeowners?
No, I did not receive any feedback from them. We did not send it to the residents that are located the further north in the little cul-de-sac area. We did not send it to them because they're further away than what we need to notice. They're in the village of Windsor, and we did notice the people that are going to be immediately affected by potential traffic.
You have a 200-foot or a 300-foot notice?
200 foot, yeah.
That's pretty small. Another question, those tractor trailers, do they have stock? Are they in the middle of transport? And what kind of, are we talking like petroleum carriers? Are we talking all kinds of goods and products could be within the contents of those tractor trailers?
Yeah, I would say at this point in time, Lisa, we don't have the solid answer to that because they haven't locked in for sure their tenants. But we do have some conditions in place that depending on the type of use and what they have with the vehicles or whatever, that they would need to provide a spill prevention plan
Right.
to the village for review and approval. So it would depend on what tenants are in there and what the use is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Did you?
The owners did step up to the table. I don't know if you wanted to add any clarification, if there's anything you can share about your potential users or not yet.
The tenants, the trailer storage would be similar to what we have on Little Potato Way right now. And as Randy mentioned, this is not intended for long-term storage. We don't want any hazardous materials there as well, so we will monitor this. And as I said, this is, my guess is it's unlikely that all 29 spaces will be occupied at one time. But in order for us to attract tenants, then we have to provide that sort of a service. But generally, they're not taken up entirely.
Thank you. And could I ask you to state your name and address for the record?
Sam Dickman, 626 East Wisconsin Avenue,
Thank you, Sam.
Twins.
Yeah. Lisa, you still have the floor. Do you have any other questions?
I appreciate that, Jim. I do have a couple more questions, actually. With regards to the proposal, and Brandy mentioned not having fencing, what kind of security measures would be in place to protect from theft or any type of vandalism, malicious mischief, anything of that nature that could, a business, a storage facility of this nature could bring to that area of the community?
The trailers that would be stored in the back are no different than if someone had a trailer in the loading dock overnight once in a while as their business progresses. We really haven't had any problem with trailer storage at any of the properties that we own. Businesses tend to have cameras and different security measures to make sure that their product is safe.
So there would be no additional security measures on this premises to monitor the activities at that location. Am I understanding that correctly?
I'm sure they'd have cameras and a security system to monitor the back of the property, but, we don't know that for sure because we wouldn't have it as a land.
Okay.
Lisa, I could add that they would be entitled to fence in that area in the way that I clumsily scribbled, on the map just now. It just
Okay.
isn't part of what staff is recommending as what
Mhm.
would be screening fence. So if they
Okay.
felt a security need, they'd be entitled to enclose that area.
Okay, and I think this is my last question. No promises. I always ask the majority of the questions, I feel like. Has the DeForest police chief been questioned about his ideas of this type of storage lot in that location? And has he provided his professional opinion?
We did send out information to all of the departments for feedback, which includes the fire department and the police department, and I did not receive any response back with any concerns.
Okay,
And
I'm
then-
sorry. I would have another question then. Is this something we would generally want to give them adequate time and request additional feedback on with regards to their professional position on this type of facility or proposal?
Well, I think the opportunity, I mean, we certainly could, Lisa, right? But I think that we do have more opportunity as well with the site plan portion of it. Because as we go through, when site plans are submitted and we go through that review, we do more in-depth research. And then there are some things under the site plan ordinances regarding safety and security that need to be complied with. So there is opportunity to do a little bit of a deeper dive into that in the site plan review as well.
Appreciate that, Brandy.
Mhm.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and anything else, Lisa?
Thank you, Jim. I'm good.
Okay. Any other commissioners? Mike?
Could we go back to the, set drawing there? I just want to make sure I understand what we're talking about here. So I see the red that says adjust fence to red line, solid fence. Is that in or is that not in the proposal? The red line is a solid fence.
I think the resolution says that it has to be with Exhibit A, which is included as part of Exhibit A, showing the detailed area for the outdoor storage. Is that
Yeah.
what you were
And
asking?
It is gonna come across the bottom like Mark drew in there at one time to put.
Yeah, to be completely closed in with a gate. But yes,
Fence will be within that red line. It'll be included in the
A solid fence.
solid fence, right?
So we're talking a relatively small amount of openness
Correct.
there, just the in and out, basically.
Mhm.
Basically.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I understood that properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mike?
No,
Any other commissioners? Okay, can I bring up a question then that came to my mind as we're talking? I'm just curious, what is the elevation of this, say, purple area versus the street? Is it generally lower or generally higher? And specifically, I'm thinking as you're coming north on North Stevenson Street.
I think it's actually pretty much the same.
I drove by.
It might dip down towards get my directions, this a hand. To the north. Maybe, but from the street view from Stevenson Street, right now, you can pretty much just look directly across the site. It does dip down a little in the far rear corner.
It generally slopes toward the old Firestone building,
You're right. And also towards the river area.
right?
So my reason why I asked that, and sorry, Mark or whoever is driving, could you go back to the site plan or the layout?
Yes.
Or I guess I should call it the exhibit.
Mhm.
got the red line that is the screening fence.
Mhm.
I'm thinking when you're coming up Stevenson, driving Stevenson, if you wanted to look, say, behind the building, you'd be able to see many trailers sitting there. I wonder about extending that screening fence, say, to the corner of the building, not necessarily touching the building, but just further out, so it partially screen.
You mean on the
those
south side of the,
Yes.
where I've got,
Yeah,
so you're wondering about extending it, would probably
yeah,
be
about where
another
that arrow.
100 feet or so
Mhm.
further south of where that terminates right now.
Correct, it would not only screen the potential truck parking, but like also screen the storage when the trucks aren't there.
It's certainly something that we could consider. Would you consider also maybe landscaping instead? As an
We have it-
alternative?
Put either trees or like evergreen or the fence.
Or a berm. We have, actually, I think berms would look better than fences anyhow.
Mhm.
Possibly, but we have to get stormwater from all that paved
Mhm.
area to the stormwater basin too.
I guess I'm open to that, so maybe that's something we take up during the site plan review to make sure there's extra landscaping in those locations.
Yeah, we would be amenable to some sort of screening from Stevenson.
Okay. Any other commissioners, or I see Lisa has her hand up. Lisa?
Yeah, I'm looking at this map and at the dog park in that kind of northwestern corner, isn't the Yahara River, doesn't that curve in there a little bit? I'm curious what the proximity is to the Yahara River from the proposed facility.
Close.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the site plan to overlay onto the site exactly, but I think that, yeah, Mark's gonna get some measurements here.
A couple 100 feet to the edge of the fence
Mhm.
from the Yahara.
So, with the river protections being what they are, do we need to get any additional clearance from any Department of Natural Resources or anything of that nature, especially if there's potential for underground storage tanks in the future? That's all, it seems awfully close to me.
Yeah, so as part of the site plan approval process, we would require DNR, DSPS, and then also the village's erosion control and stormwater management and review against ordinances for all of that as part of the site plan proposal. And then that's also where we would, depending on what the tenants are and what they're storing, we would require those spill prevention reports as well. So that way we can review them and analyze whether additional things need to happen in order to protect the Yahara River. But it's definitely something that it is in the front of our mind as part of that review because of the proximity to the river.
I could also add that we're not going to allow any underground storage tanks on the site. That's something that we're not looking for that kind of a potential liability in the future. So that's something that you need not be concerned about.
What about any type of prevention for leakage of chemicals or petroleum or anything of that nature? What kind of mitigation plan would you propose if approved?
Well, the stormwater management plan, when we do the outdoor storage, will drain into the sewer system, so it won't go towards the river.
I don't
Thank
know,
you, Jim.
Brandy or Mark, or do you wanna add to say with the storm water management, there's often I forget the term, if it's not infiltration, but there's a way that you gotta catch the first half inch, and So there's an opportunity to settle out and take in any of those.
And
site
stay on
elements.
requirements. Yep, that would all be part of the erosion control stormwater application review by the village engineers as part of the site plan submittal. So those are definitely check boxes on the list.
I would also add that as far as any hazardous materials that our leases with our tenants require pretty strict controls over any kind of hazardous materials. So either they're not allowed, or if they are, they have to conform to whatever high standards are governing those kind of things. So again, as owners of the property, we don't want to incur any kind of liability because and even though it may be a tenant's problem, it ultimately ends up our problem as owners of the property and then the chain of title. So, and we have a much bigger investment here than the tenants do. So we're very concerned about that kind of activity.
Okay, thank you very much. Lisa, do you have anything further?
No, thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Any other discussion, or we're still looking for a motion to?
I will make a motion to approve resolution 2024-908.
Motion by Colleen. It was, yep, 908. So is there a second?
Second.
I think I heard Mike. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 6-1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5 is a public hearing to conduct on a conditional use permit to allow for an outdoor dining alcohol area in association with the indoor commercial entertainment and lodging use on the northwest portion of parcel 909-254-8130-1 west of River Road and east of Interstate I-39-9094 in the village of DeForest, Wisconsin. Randy or Mark, did you want to start off the, oh, I should say I'm opening the public hearing at 6:44. So Mark?
Sure, I'll kick it off, and I'm sure we'll have more discussion later. This is a proposal for an outdoor dining and drinking area that would be associated with a steakhouse that itself would be associated with a hotel, a cobblestone hotel. And that facility would be located in the Conservancy Place development between River Road and the interstate, generally between Pin Seekers and the DeForest Athletic Complex, as shown on the map. The proposed outdoor dining and alcohol service area requires a conditional use permit under the Conservancy Place planned unit development, and as such is subject to 6 or 7 standards for review that relate to neighborhood impact and impact on the users of the facility. The other item on the agenda is the certified survey map, which is not subject to public hearing. And then what the commission should expect at a subsequent meeting is a so-called final development plan, which is a detailed site plan that will represent not only precisely what this outdoor dining area will look like and the screening and other things that will accompany it, but also the details on the hotel, traffic circulation, pedestrian access, et cetera, et cetera. And I think with that, I'll close my opening comments and be prepared for discussion after the hearing.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And can I ask for clarification? So likely the next time they would come would actually be the final time to the FDP, because that's also the site plan review at the same time.
That's exactly correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. So again, we're at the public hearing. I do have one person wishing to speak. And if there's anybody online, please raise your hand. But I would ask that John, I guess, John, could I ask you to maybe state your name and address for the record? Generally, we have, I think it's a 3-minute clock.
Thank you, Jim. My name is John Lamancusa. I live at 7736 Indigo Drive, about less than a mile walk from this proposed facility. I am a retired mechanical engineer with 40 years of engineering design experience in teaching and in industry. And as a professional engineer, I also have a sworn responsibility to protect public's health and safety. And I'm here in that capacity tonight to offer my unpaid professional opinion about this facility. My chief concern is one of safety. I'm concerned that this committee is being urged to make a decision that will negatively impact public safety based on incomplete and inaccurate information. So I would like to prove my point. I'd like to ask you to look at this drawing that I produced. Engineers, we have to have our drawings, they take away our engineer's card if we don't draw something. So this is a side view that would be looking toward the freeway, actually, from the east of the proposed hotel and its relation to the Pin Seekers Golf Facility. Kind of a side view looking from, in the drawing that you have on your screen up there, it'll be looking from the right toward the left. A couple things I want to point out on this. The existing Pin Seekers driving range there, the end of the fairway as was approved in the FDP is shown by the green arrow, which is a solid line on your drawing there. They didn't build that. They built about 85 feet shorter than that, the blue arrow. And to my knowledge and to Bill Chang's knowledge, they never got a variance from this group to do that modification, which should have been required by the CUP. The other thing I'd like to point out is the blue dashed line on my drawing here is the recommended safe height of the net of 180 feet, which is 20 feet taller than they actually built. And this safe net recommendation comes from a professional study commissioned by the Pin Seekers themselves, but was never given to the village as part of the review process. It was sort of held back. So my basic point is the nets are too low. There is a very clear path for balls to enter into this dining area and the parking lot next to it, which is on the far left. Maybe they plan to make that an employee's parking lot. I don't know. But I have personally found 22 balls in that area, in that cornfield, which is now a cornfield. I found 22 balls in that area. Not 6, as is quoted in the CUP documents on page 58. If you want to pull that up, Rachel. Can you do that? Okay. So that document says that there are only 8, by Pin Seekers admission, 6 balls have gone over the net on the south side. That number is totally incorrect. I don't know where it came from, but I have physical evidence, as I can show you on the back of this sheet. The upper left corner is my ball collection, my growing ball collection. 22 balls were found in that area, and next to that are pictures that I've documented where those balls were found.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes is up.
Okay. And may I make a concluding remark, please?
Sure.
The DOT has found over 100 balls on the highway on both eastbound and westbound lanes next to that. The related problem to this, it's all due to the fact that the nets are too low. And I really urge the village and this group to do something about this. It would cure both problems. Higher nets would make this shop house safer, highway safer. It would insulate the village from potential legal or insurance indemnities in the future. And I urge you to do this before somebody gets killed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, John.
Mark, would you like a couple balls for your collection?
Is there anybody wishing to speak? Lisa, I do see your hand, but we are in the public hearing right now. I'm assuming you would wish to speak during the discussion. Is that correct?
It is, I mean, my question is, I wanted to make sure that I was able to understand everything from Mr. Lamancusa. If he had any additional thoughts while it's in the public forum, 3 minutes is awfully limiting. And I want to make sure that I'm taking advantage of his expertise. And if there were any additional thoughts from Mr. Lamancusa, I would just ask that we give him a few extra minutes, because I would personally like to understand any other risks or opportunities that this professional engineer might have to offer for us.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. I think what I will do though is I will close the public hearing, and any questions that we have, we can ask John during the discussion portion.
Thank you.
So I will close the public hearing at 6:53. And we will move on to item 5.6, discussion and action on a conditional use permit to allow an outdoor dining alcohol area in association with an indoor commercial entertainment and lodging use on the northwest portion of the parcel denoted on the agenda, west of River Road and east of Interstate I-39, 90, 94 in the village of DeForest, Wisconsin. I open it up to any commissioners.
I'm trying to understand what we're looking at. So we're looking at just the restaurant portion. We're not looking at the hotel portion yet. Or have we already voted on the hotel portion yet?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just a little confused.
You want me to clarify, or do you want to, Mark?
Yeah, I think the restaurant is viewed as an integral component, or sorry, the outdoor area is viewed as an integral component to the restaurant, which is a component of the hotel. So I think the desire is to understand the commission's position on the outdoor dining, drinking area before finalizing plans for the hotel restaurant to which it's attached. That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Lisa, you're next.
Thank you, Jim. So just to try and follow appropriate protocol here, hopefully now is the right time. And if Mr. Lamancusa is still there in the room, I would just like to ask him if he has any other comments or concerns that he'd like this committee to have a better understanding of, that he was not able to express in the 3 minutes.
Specifically to this CUP.
Specifically to the CUP, specifically to the risk of life, safety, or any other concerns. I, for one, can understand the life safety risk and the risk of bodily injury on this premises, given the close proximity here. And I would just, beyond that, are there any other risks that I'm not understanding beyond what was expressed during the public forum?
Thank you, Lisa. John, can you clarify if
To
there?
me, the risk is the flying golf balls. A golf ball struck at this, not those heights, can do considerable damage. If you were
Mhm.
riding a motorcycle on the highway and you got hit by a ball, it could be deadly.
Mhm.
It might not go through your windshield, but it might distract you enough that you cause a multi-car pileup on the highway.
Mhm.
That section of I-90/94 has an average daily traffic count of 60,000 vehicles.
I just want to clarify that we're talking about this outdoor seating, not the
Okay.
interstate right now.
Well, I would clarify that this outdoor seating, it violates your own village requirement, number 2. It is not compatible with surrounding properties. That surrounding property being the Pinseekers driving range. You have a very nicely established process of requirements that ensure safety. And I'm just asking that you carefully consider that and follow that.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. My other question, Jim, would be, have we consulted with our village attorney on this particular risk that could come back to the village of DeForest?
Thank you, Lisa. I guess I'd ask Brandy or Mark if
Yes.
it's been done. Thank you.
What did they say?
Anything else, Lisa?
Yeah, what was the response from the village attorney with regards to risk of bodily injury or any potential following risk or lawsuit or anything? What was the response?
I would just be paraphrasing, but the general gist of the conversation with both the village attorney, the fire chief, and others with our development review team is that there is risk involved in most any activity. We cross the street, we observe some risk. The question is whether we're exposing people to unacceptable and known risk. And if we are without mitigation, whether there are mitigation steps that could be deployed to minimize the risk. The essence of the response to that is the analysis that I did, which we can debate balls over nets, and I'm happy to do that. But the number of balls that go over the south net is not significant. The number in March was 1 out of 700,000 balls hit. Furthermore, the distance from the tee box to the patio area is about 300 yards, which if you were, I guess it's not Tiger Woods anymore. Let's pick another one. I'm sure we can pick another big hitter on the PGA Tour. And there was no net, then we may have a problem. The average golfer drives about 220 yards a man, and that's, without a net. So the opportunity to reach this area is not great. And that's setting aside the fact that this is a very small target in the range of the full extent of the south net, which is about 300 feet wide. The other factors that we have tried to deploy in talking with the applicants is most of the time, if someone were to hit a ball 300 yards on the rear event, it's not necessarily traveling 300 yards in the air. It's especially on a drive, it's bouncing. And so the proposed mitigation steps include a fence around the enclosure of at least 6 feet in height. A solid fence, probably see-through, but a solid tempered glass type fence. And beyond the fence or to the north of it, rather than a lawn area that especially in the summer could get sort of hard packed and baked, to have more of a prairie feel with longer grasses that would tend to absorb a bouncing or rolling ball as opposed to facilitate its continued movement. So that has been a response to what commentary we've had at the staff level from the village attorney, fire chief, and others associated with this particular location.
I would just add to piggyback off of that and address Lisa's comment there. I think we kind of talked about at our last meeting, some of the process that we have internally as staff when we do review these, specifically our development review team meetings. And that includes our planners, our engineers, PD, fire, as Mark's talking about, and our village attorney too. So we have pretty much, and our administrator too, we have everybody looking at these too. I know, Mark, you were kind of talking about in discussing with the applicant some of the project specifics here, and I would just mention that I think there are 2 people associated with this project. it may make sense to direct questions to them. If you wanted to invite them up since they are associated with the project, that would be perhaps better directed.
Okay, anything else, Lisa? It's your floor yet.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other commissioners?
Are we saying that the balls aren't coming over the top of the net? We're saying they're coming through the net?
There are balls that occasionally go over the top of the net. Since January 1st, the counts that we have suggest that there's been 6 that have gone over
Okay.
the top of the net. There were more that went over the top of the net before January 1st. And there have been some mitigating measures to
Okay.
taken on.
Mark, if I could clarify, because I think it's what I read, it's 6 that have gone over the south.
South net. Yeah, there's been more that have been gone over the west net and the east net, undoubtedly.
Okay.
But again, we're not here to talk about that issue, as important as it may be. We're here to talk about, the outdoor dining area, which is south of the south net. Nothing over the east net is going to affect diners here in this area. So that's kind of important to keep in mind. And again, we're here to measure risk. Ultimately, it's up to you as the commission. That's why you make the big bucks, to decide as to whether they meet the standards for granting a conditional use permit. You have my analysis, you have another opinion, and whatever action you take, you could either vote to approve the resolution as is, that would allow this to move forward. You could vote to amend the resolution in some manner that you felt was appropriate to improve safety or some other factor, or you could reject it. And in so rejecting it, you should cite which of the standards, if one or more than one, that you feel is not met as part of the action that you would take.
Yep. And John, I do see your hand, and I'm going to try to speak of what I think you're going to be stating, is that we have Mark's comment that I'm assuming that's based on the tracking of the balls that we've seen, that 6 have gone over the net, and what we
Yeah,
heard
and again,
tonight.
Alex is making a good point. John, appreciate your opinion, but you're not the applicant here. It would be good to ask those questions of the applicant.
Mhm.
Because they did provide the data, and if you know or don't know, that they have a pretty sophisticated technology that allows them to detect where balls are going. And they've provided that information to the village.
Yep, and I will do that, and so what I will continue with this clarification is that we've heard tonight from Mark that the tracking system tracks 6 balls that have gone over the net. What we've also heard from John is that he's found 22 balls himself. We don't know exactly how.
Sure about time frame.
Correct.
I can tell
Correct.
you what that is if you'd like to know.
But can I ask the applicants as far as their tracking system, as far as you say that it's tracked 6 balls over the south and that you,
Would you like us to approach here?
Yeah, they need to approach.
please state your name and address for the record.
Sure.
I guess with that question, how confident are you in that, say, tracking system as far as the 6 balls over the net?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Ryan Ranget, 1105 Parkview Circle in Wanakee. So that's correct. As of January 2024, there are 6 golf balls that have gone over the net. There has been more to the south side of the net. There was more as we started to open up, but we've actually put measurements into place to reduce the golf balls going outside the net. So we restricted the tee height, we've eliminated drivers. We've done other certain things within the golf operation to reduce that. Once we saw that that was a concern as we opened up in October, moving forward, we were trying to reduce that as much as we possibly could. And then as of January, that was stated, there's 6 balls that have gone over the net. That is extremely accurate. It's within 3 yards of Top Tracer. They're a company that we've used to track all the ball systems or all the balls with the tracking device. So that is the measurements that we've moving forward from there. And I have details of how far those balls have gone over the net, which Mark has kind of reiterated too, of with that height and that ball trajectory, would that ever potentially get to the proposed site? And I think that's what Mark was stating, is that that is extremely highly unlikely. And that percentage is almost, it's past zero. So that's the position that we're taking in for here for the proposed outdoor seating. Yep.
Yep. Thank you, Brian. So I apologize. I should have done this in the beginning, but Jean Manchesky was not able to be here tonight, but she did provide some comments, and I apologize to Jean and to the rest of the commission. I should have read her comments on the other ones, but I just want to read what she wrote for the 5.6. That I fully understand that the CUP is for outdoor areas only, and that the other review process will occur for the proposed projects. I support the resolution as written for the CUP for the outdoor eating/alcohol area that is associated with the restaurant use, along with the CSM that divides the land for hotel, restaurant, and other future development. I am in favor of the CSM restrictions that divert access to River Road through a shared easement, thereby limiting the number of access points/conflict points onto River Road. I like that the outdoor area will have a solid fence and landscaping, that amplified music will be at the volume that is intended for patrons in the patio area only, and that the hours of operation for the patio area will cease at 9 p.m. on weekdays and will cease at 10 p.m. on weekends. Based on the distance where the patio is located from pin seekers, I do not have any concerns regarding the errant golf balls. The requirements of having a 6-foot fencing and additional landscaping would assist in any rolling golf balls towards the patio area. And that's the end of her comment. And I have a copy of it here if anybody wants to read it while we continue the discussion. So again, I apologize, Jean, if you're listening. I know she might listen to the video, we'll see. So I will open it up to commissioners again. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'm gonna continue some discussion and say one comment that I have, and I guess I bring this up under the CUP. I don't know if it's necessarily appropriate, but I see that there's the original concept that you brought however many months ago, there was a idea of a bike path. And I don't see that on the current concept. I guess I personally think that would be a nice thing to have, and I don't know how it necessarily affect the outdoor dining, but I bring it up at this time in case it might.
That'll be in the final development plan.
Okay.
Mark and I have talked roughly on some high levels on it, and we want to make sure that the bike path, you can actually describe what we were talking about on it.
Well, I just appreciate you saying that, so.
Yeah, okay.
At a minimum, my
we get
opinion
people
is
on-
a minimum, I want it connected to the
Yep.
River Road, so.
As something that relates to this outdoor dining area, the idea would be if you're on foot or in a car, that you'll be able to, or on a bike, you'll be able to get to the outdoor dining area safely and comfortably.
Hmm.
So we're working on a plan that would get people from the path on River Road to the outdoor dining area. And also the idea of a path that would be generally north-south that would connect the commercial sites to one another. So if you were at one of them and you wanted to drink in the outdoor area, you could comfortably walk over there without having to hop in your car, get on River Road for a short time, and then get out of your car again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's all I have with the CUP.
Since my professional reputation was addressed here, I would like to respond.
No, sorry. I would ask that you submit an email to the village staff and they can pass them on to the commission. Any further discussion on the CUP? Oh, Lisa?
I'm sorry, Jim, I could not hear whatever commentary was made by somebody in the back of the room or
I
what?
apologize. Yeah. John spoke up in the back of the room and,
Oh, okay.
and said that his professional expertise was questioned and then wanted to speak. And I asked him that he please submit that rebuttal via email to staff or to staff so it could be directed to us outside of the discussion right now.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Lisa. Any other discussion? Otherwise, we do have a motion that's being recommended by staff in front of us right now. Is there anybody willing to make a motion?
I'll make the motion, Jim. Ordinance to, motion to accept resolution 2024-907. And I am going to go with the information gathered by the development review team, what Mark Roffers has gathered. And that I think this is probably an infinitesimal chance that someone there is going to be killed by a golf ball.
Thank you, Colleen. What I heard in that motion was that you're recommending the resolution as written and you're confirming that you rely on staff. Is that correct?
That is
why-
correct. I'm going to rely on staff and take the resolution as written.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there a second? I'll second it. So there is further discussion if anybody wants to discuss. Lisa,
I see Lisa's hand up on that.
is your hand still up or?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my hand was up before Colleen's actually. But I am very concerned with the attorney recommendations. It does seem that you know, there was some caution provided in the statements as relayed by Mr. Roffers. And with those cautionary statements of any type of risk being, you know, something that we should consider, I am not sure how we can pass this as written, given the professional statements that we heard here tonight. So I'm not sure like next steps, but I do think that we should be really considering our village attorney's recommendation to consider potential bodily injury and any other type of risks with this one. That's my only comment with regards to the motion on the floor.
Thank you, Lisa. I guess what I'm going to state, I'm going to ask that this be a roll call vote. And I'll ask the commission again if there's any other discussion or if there's anybody wishing to speak an opinion before we move to the roll call vote. Mike?
I sort of see this as two separate issues, and I think that's been mentioned before. I'm uncomfortable in some senses with it. And I think, in my opinion, I'd like to have more information before this committee moves forward.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else? Colleen?
I just want to say, I am looking strictly at the conditional use permit regarding the outdoor dining and alcohol area. I would love to ask the representatives from Penn Seekers about some of the things that John has put forth, but I don't think this is the place for that, and that's not why we're here. So as far as whether or not this outdoor restaurant, alcohol, of course, will be served there, is an appropriate use in this district, that's where I'm coming from. And after the professional review.
Jim, could I just
Thank you.
clarify one comment?
Just a second. Colleen, are you done then? Yep. Yes, Alex?
I think, Lisa, I'm not sure if there was a misunderstanding there, but I think from your last comment, you're under the impression that maybe our attorney had a different recommendation than what was being proposed here, and they definitely had input into what is being proposed here. So just wanted to clarify that in case there was something different understood.
No, I understand that the attorney is recommending we use caution in light of risks with this one. That's seemed very clear to me.
Okay, thank you. Colleen again?
Mark, would you classify as that the correct interpretation of the village attorney's?
I think in a sentence, that's fair. I think the village, you know, the village attorney, cautious. And, he wants to make sure that the village is making decisions that it won't have to defend later on. So you're probably never going to get a go for it from the village attorney on anything, unequivocally.
Well, just to set the record straight, I'm not in favor of people being hit by golf balls in this thing.
No.
Just so that's clear. But as I said, I'm going with what we're dealing with here.
Thank you. And I guess I will state my opinion, and it does come from an engineering background too, that I design roads. And I tell you, if we want to build a very safe road, we can beam guard every road out there and make sure everybody stays on the road. But it becomes financially, say, irresponsible at some point. And I think it is a bit of a weighing of risk, what I've heard tonight and what I tend to believe. I'm hearing, say, from, again, what I see is more of an engineering background as far as the tracking system and relying on that data, that there's been limited balls that have gone over on the south net. And the number of those that potentially could impact this location would be pretty minimal. And I gotta believe if there ever was an incident or even a chance of that ball ever coming close, that the owners would do additional mitigation to make sure nothing would happen. But I think the risk is pretty low or very minuscule, and that's why I'm gonna vote the way I will vote. Yeah, Brian.
I've two separate entities here. At Penn Seekers, safety is our number one priority. We work every day to make sure everybody's being safe, regardless of inside the nets or outside the nets. So that is something that we constantly work on every single day to make sure everybody's being safe from an employee aspect and a patron aspect. And that all being said, since we've been open, little over 7 months, we've had 3.8 million golf balls hit. And that is a huge amount of golf balls to be able to contain and be able to manage from a non-golfer to a golfer. And so we feel as Penn Seekers, separate from what we're talking about now, that we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that we are making sure everybody is safe, regardless if they're in the facility or out of the facility. So just wanted to state that.
Thank you, Ryan. Any further discussion or comments? Mike?
I'd like to, you had an interesting statistic there. Are there any statistics nationwide with your type of facility for overflown balls that you can use for comparison?
It's hard to say on the record. There's hundreds of millions of golf balls hit within these entertainment facilities across the country. And what everybody is trying to do is trying to mitigate that as best as they possibly can. They have to meet with municipality standards all the way through on every completely aspect. We used engineers that are experts in this field directly, from golf ball studies all the way to poles and netting for that. And that's where our stance was taken as owners and developers in this. I don't know if that directly answers your question, but
No, it does not.
yeah, okay, sorry.
I think that's information maybe we could request outside of this meeting. I don't even know if
I don't
it's
know if it's
available.
available.
Yeah, but it's beyond the scope of this, so.
I'm assuming people are looking into the options for data in the ongoing discussions that are happening about the errant balls. But again, back to the agenda item is the conditional use for this outdoor seating. I'm sorry,
Outdoor
I probably just misspelled it. What we're looking at is a resolution right now. Allow outdoor dining alcohol area in conjunction with the hotel restaurant. And Colleen and recommended approval as written, and I seconded that. So is there any further discussion? And if not, I'll call the question and to know roll call vote. Does everybody know what a roll call vote is? I'm assuming. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
So as the roll call vote, as I go through, I would be in favor, Nate would be against approving the resolution. Okay. Commissioner Brogy,
I'd like my vote to show abstention.
abstain. Commissioner Little,
Aye.
Commissioner Nagel, Commissioner Kellogg,
Aye.
Commissioner Wiersba,
Nay.
Commissioner Street,
Nay.
and Commissioner Simpson.
Aye. So the way
So
I.
passes 4-2
2, 1.
and with one abstention.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you. That is all the items under 5. So thank you, guys. Item number 6 is presentations and discussion, and I do not see any. Item number 7 is any other business and chairs report. Pulling out the other agendas from the village board meetings. We're discussing, actually, this is probably outside of this commission, but we're discussing a youth advisory council program. So we're getting some of the high school youth involved with the local politics. But I think that will likely start in the committees before it would come to the planning and zoning commission and the village board. But I look forward to having some more involvement from the high schoolers. There's a acquisition development agreement, LGC. Alex, do you want to speak to that at all?
Sure, that was with the, I don't know, affiliate of Lake City Glass, which is looking to acquire, well, has under contract the 7.25 acre lot in the business park, which is our last lot remaining up there. So we are full in the northern business park now.
That will likely be site plans coming here, or is that, that's going to be staff approved?
Possibly. We're waiting to see exactly how their site plan lays out. It could come here.
Okay,
Basically, if a site plan checks all the boxes and meets all the ordinance requirements for this type, it can be approved by staff with your input before staff approval as individual commissioners. And we just don't know whether we're going to get a plan that passes that test yet.
Okay, thank you. There's operational budget things. Let's see a whole lot, something. Sorry, different things, grant applications that were submitted for the Quick Trip location. So they would build roads down there.
Yep.
Whole lot on committees as a whole. And then on the April 16th, there was discussion about mountain biking prohibition. There was discussion on redividing. Okay, so I think these ones, this was BJS, Brian Sipple. Those things that went through us about a month ago went through the village board. So that's all sort of said and done and approved.
Metal buildings are coming down.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I think that's about it. Colleen, is there anything I missed that you remember? Nope.
Yes, he did.
Staff report 7.2.
So just nothing. Sorry, I was all ready for site plan stuff, but we're on staff report. So
Site plan,
nothing from me.
CSM.
You skipped staff site plan, which is the one I was excited about.
What?
What? Yeah, staff report and then site plan. So I'll just pop in, site plan. You guys were sent a couple of plans to review as a staff level review and approval. So for First Choice Dental, the site plan approval is in draft form right now. Hopefully I'll have that done and out tomorrow. And the same with the DeForest Storage at 711 Little Potato Way. It was one that we approved a while back, but we'll have site plan approval wrapping up for those two as well. So I appreciate when I send those out, the comments that I get back from you guys. We do collect all of that and, you know, use them to make decisions on conditions and things like that. So please continue to provide feedback when you can. That'd be great.
Well, we heard under Chair's report, we may be getting another site plan for the Lake City Glass, either through the commission or through that process.
Yeah, possibly. Mhm.
Okay, CSM approval, did you already say no?
No.
Development process and enforcement suggestions, anybody? Seeing none, our next meeting is May 28th. Is that correct, Brandy, or should we expect an interim meeting?
Nope, that is correct. I'm actually going on vacation starting Thursday for about 2 weeks, so.
So that's why you're so excited and smiling.
No, I'm still like in the anxious anxiety mode.
Okay, number 8, looking for a motion to adjourn. Anybody?
Motion made.
Motion by Mike,
Second.
second by Shannon.
So,
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are adjourned at 7:30.
all right,
Thank you all.
everybody.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Lisa.